Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being to next level us all up in our process. My name is Becky, and I'm a US based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. And I've been trading for 3.5 years now, and I currently focus predominantly on day trading the futures instrument for the Dow Jones Industrial Average, otherwise known as YM. I've done a lot of different trading over the years, options and swing trading, but I definitely love futures the most. So thanks for being here. One of my favorite things to do in life, really, is to talk to other traders. So when you are as committed to being a great trader as I am, it becomes such a big part of your world and what you think about all the time. But non-traders just don't really understand trading near as much as people who have gotten into it. So this podcast, I think, offers an awesome opportunity to bring on other traders to talk about the journey, share tips and tricks, and then grow together through this wild but like super intriguing world of day trading. So today, I'm so happy to bring on a guest from New Zealand. This is Rod. Thank you so much for being here with me, Rod.
Oh, thank you, Becky. Thank you so much for including me in the community.
Yeah, it's been really an interesting journey to start Market Mamas and then grow and start interacting with people. And that's actually where we met, is that you found us, I don't know how, and commented on a couple of videos, and we started emailing. But it's so neat that it connects people. You know, the internet is really great for that, connecting people with similar interests so that you can build community, even if you're on different continents. That's awesome. So what do
Yeah,
you
no,
trade?
I trade platinum futures with Top Step. So I've been doing that for a wee while. I've been trading sort of like properly, well, not properly, but like full on since 2023. And the all mean reversion video was the one that was recommended on my feed, and I was just forever thankful. It was such a good conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bitten me in the ass, especially this last week where we've been so bullish, actually, because I really love mean reversion. It's been a learning curve because that setup happens all the time, and I trade it really pretty well often. But then there's the caveats to that one where you have to be careful on the trending days to not make it a rotational day when it's not. So that was a good episode to do because it kind of let me delve into one of my favorite setups, but then also like remind myself that it's not every day in every way. But that's awesome. I'm so glad that you did find us, because I think it's really good to talk about all aspects of trading, because I think that helps us all kind of level up. I mean, do you have any traders in your personal life?
No, nothing at all. And that's been the hardest part, sort of like you really are going down a very dark and lonely street by yourself.
Right. When you have like a hard trading day, when I have a hard trading day, it can be super isolating. So it's good to like be able to reach out and find people that understand what that feels like.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
you can tell someone to you blue in the face, but they don't really get it. And they never
No,
will. And it's not their fault.
no. And I think that they judge it. I think as humans, we're judgy humans. We're judgy people because we know what we know, and that's safe and normal and natural. And then when someone else starts doing something that can be perceived as risky or gambling or like a waste of time and energy, they just don't know. Like you said, it's not out of like any ill intent, but they don't understand the world. And so it's not the best person to bounce it off of. Yeah. So how did you stumble? What made you choose platinum futures?
Um, it was really a recommendation. I was like, well, I didn't start out trading. I started off my working career as a retailer, and I was a big box franchise retail owner for a long time, for 20 years. So in the States, it would be kind of like your Best Buy, you know, electronics, TVs, all that kind of thing, but on a smaller scale. And I really loved it. It was really good. But the only downside, and you would know with your line of work, is, you know, whenever there's a holiday, public weekends, Christmas, Easter, you name it, you're always working because that's when the sales are. And so you never have time for family and friends. So that after a sort of, you know, when you're in your 20s and 30s, you get pretty bulletproof. You can do most things. But I was getting a bit tired of it. It had been a long time, so I just sort of retired from that and just got just a normal Monday to Friday job, so I could start spending time with friends and family, because it was just missing out on so many things. You know, a wedding would come up and you'd miss it because there was a Black Friday sale or whatever. And so it was getting a little bit silly. So then in 2023, I had a health scare, and I got sick, and I got really sick. And I was sort of down and out for about 5 months. And I had some pretty bad fatigue, and I just couldn't function. And it was one of those sort of like sliding door moments where, the bucket of cold water was thrown over you. And it was like, well, hang on a second. If you can't physically go somewhere and swap your time for money, in this day and age, you're in trouble. And so that's sort of what started that little spark to try and find something else.
That's so interesting. Because there are so many parallels to my life actually too, because as a nurse, we always work nights and weekends and holidays, and it's a sacrifice to your family and what you want to do. And you do miss events and family. And that's the beauty of trading, is that you can make it your own and you can trade from your home.
Exactly.
Yeah. And mine was a back injury at work that I had to be home for. And it was a significant injury. And I ended up having surgery. But my brain was very functional. And so that was the time that I was able to, start figuring out something at home that, like, at first was just interesting and potentially had the ability to make us money. But then I don't know if it was like this for you, but if you start seeing and getting exposed to traders who are doing the damn thing, they're making money and they're showing their outcomes, and then you're learning enough to realize there is an edge with it, it's like you get hooked. You're like, okay, if this is a real thing, and there are people out there that want to talk about it and teach me, like, show me your ways, because I want to make money from my home computer.
Yeah, it was funny. Initially I didn't have any of that. It was an absolute clown show. It was quite funny. I was coming from a sense of urgency because I had this wake up call. I thought, I need to solidify my income. And so I was kind of coming from the wrong angle from day one. So the first thing I did on YouTube, obviously, is how to make money with day trading. How long does day trading take? And all that was coming back was, day in the life of a Forex trader. I started at $20 and made 10,000 by Thursday. Those kind of videos. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's quite motivating sometimes, but you're not going to learn anything from that. It's trade-tainment at best. It's not educational. So I was going down all kinds of dead end streets where I was just, because I was asking naive questions, so all I was getting back were just naive answers. And so the very first course that I bought was a Forex course, and it was a moving average course, and it was actually, in hindsight, probably not that bad. But the first trade that I'll never forget, the first trade that I made was an Aussie dollar long. And I was in the trade for a day and a half, and I made 250 trading view dollars. And I was like, I get the calculator out, and $250 times 26 Forex pairs times 5 days a week times 2 trades a day. I'm going to be making $100,000 a month. No.
Yep.
So it took me a good 6 months to sort of weed my way out of that loop that just got thrown at me.
Yeah. I remember the first community I was with, there was a morning live stream, and the guy who ran it was just like, look at that. You just had to get in there and you got out there and it's $500. Everybody made $500, right? There was all this like energy behind it. And it was like, well, shit, join, like, teach me, like, I'm going to make $500 every day. I was humbled because it was not actually that easy. And there's so many lessons in my first year of trading. But it's enough to, like, I felt like it was enough to show me there is a way. But then it was also hard enough, and I took enough losses that I was like, okay, so I actually have to take this very seriously and, figure out how to stop the losses so that the wins can matter more.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, for me, like, that first trade, like, that lit the fuse. I was like, oh, here we go. And then the second trade, the third trade, the fourth trade, all losers. So, of course, what do you do when you're naive? You go looking for something else. You don't stick with it. And I was just going around in this hamster wheel for ages, just trying to find things. And then I found this young guy who was trading gold futures on the 5-minute chart, and he was using Top Step to, in the trading evaluation. So naively, I thought, that's what I'll do. Is I just signed up, no plan, no edge, no nothing, just signed up and essentially just followed along. And for whatever reason, I can't tell you why, but as soon as I look at a chart, I'm always looking for that turning point. I'm looking for the crack down. Like, my sort of default state is always bearish for whatever reason. And so I think I said to you about email that, here I am in 2024 trading gold with a short bias. And of course, all did gold was new time high, all-time high, all-time high, all-time high. And I got murdered. So it was difficult, and it really, like, I can look back at it now and laugh, but it really did a number on my confidence. Like, I was really hard on myself because I was just so, not desperate, but coming from a sense of urgency to figure this out. And I'd been good at something all my life, and then all of a sudden I couldn't crack this seemingly simple thing with these 20-year-olds pushing a button, making 10 grand, and then fade to black, there's the Lamborghini in the garage. And Becky, I was so hard on myself. I mean, we all are, but it was horrific.
Yeah. Well, there's a sense of like, I've worked hard my whole life and I have this successful career and I've done great things. And if other people can figure this out, surely I have what it takes. Yes. Yeah, I get that. It can be very frustrating. And I think that everything that you're saying, I have experienced at some level too, because in the beginning, there's a little bit of strategy hopping because you'll do something for a week or two and you'll follow somebody. And then you're not making the profits that they make. Then you think, surely it's the system, it's you, it's whatever, something's wrong. So you look elsewhere. And I think you have to do that for a little while to really kind of test the waters and see what's out there, but then find something and really dig in. And then I think that's when you kind of start getting to next level progress. And I do 5 minutes in gold futures. I know some people who make some good money with that. And so you're coming along. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, essentially I was just copying what he was doing. So it was good, but I did find it was a bit too fast for me. So in hindsight, that was quite a good lesson. But after that, I had to take some time off. I took a full month away from the charts. My confidence was so low. It wasn't funny. But I couldn't stop thinking about it. I was not going to quit. I couldn't let it go. I was, in the back of my mind, I was still tinkering every day, trying to think, okay, what if? But yeah, I had to sort of reframe the questions that I was asking. So once I sort of come across a bit better of a strategy to find out, okay, there are people in the world that do this properly. They make good money from it, and they're not flashy. Where are they? Who are they? Where can I find them? And so once I started asking better questions, of course, better things came back at my way. And so one of the first people that you guys have talked about was Linda Rashke, came up on my feed, and I started following all of her stuff. And to be honest, like, a lot of it went straight over my head initially, but that was like the spark. Was like, okay, here's this like force of a person who's quite blunt, saying, well, what makes you think you're going to beat me? I've been doing this for 40 years. You've got to do your nightly prep. You've got to do your homework. Got your R multiple. What's this? What's that? And I was just like, And so that was a real turning point, which was good. And it didn't take me forever to figure that lesson out.
I love her. I love her example. I love how she has held and like built her career and what she stands for. And I love that like hard lesson, like almost a slap in the face of like, oh, you want that Lambo? That's 5 years down the line and thousands and thousands of dollars. And everyone's journey is absolutely different. And it's going to look different for whoever, coming from different background, different mindset, different hurdles to like push through in your mind. But the biggest thing that I see amongst all traders that finally get consistency with sustainable income is that they had to put in their time. Like she said, they put in their time in studying, and then, the really hard, depressing moments, like those can make you quit or they can teach you.
They can fire you up. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like we talk all the time. Like I still have days where I suck, and it's like, I can't feel like I'm not doing it right or I did something bad. I just have to be like, apparently I needed that lesson again so that I can further solidify how to catch that sooner in my process and not do it. And so reframing that in the last, at least the last year of my journey, I've done a much better job of like controlling my mind and the rabbit holes. I'll let it go down. And instead of like feeling bad, it's been really powerful for me to like shut that down early and just be like, that sucked, but I'm okay. Everything is fine. I still have all these things in my life that I'm grateful for. And that lesson will make me stronger because I'm not quitting.
Exactly.
You did that too.
The one thing I am grateful for, like, I didn't risk any of my own money, like, going through this phase, which I was very grateful for that, because I went from sim trading to basically the prop trading. And even though I didn't make any money out of it, I didn't lose anything either. I just sort of, lost time and a bit of confidence, but that was quite good. And so one of the things from there, like, SMB Capital was recommended. A lot of their traders sort of started popping up. There was one guy, I don't think he's there anymore, a guy called Merritt Black. Have you ever heard of him? He's one of their great traders, and they all sort of said the same thing. They were all like, "You've got to do your homework. You've got to this. You've got to that. You've got to," and none of them were flashy. None of them were sort of bragging about anything. There was no Lamborghini key fobs anywhere. Like, it was just hard work. Like, this is a job. Just what makes you think you're going to just walk straight into the ER and become the surgeon? And so it was quite good.
I love S&B Capital. In fact, I have stalked their webpage and their videos from time to time as well. I'm on their email list. I'm a big fan of Lance Brightstein because I really like the realism in it. And I think that what they push and everything that I have read with them. And then we actually did an episode of Market Mamas on the book One Good Trade, which is written by one of their founders. Yeah. Well, I love in that, and from everything I see out of that company, is that they push hard work and preparation. Like, you have to get there, an hour and a half before market open, and you have to go through the process. And they even talk about visualization for their traders, visualizing what their days will look like, and being consistent and showing up and putting in the hours and going to the classes and studying. And that, I think, is real talk. That is like, this is a job. This is your business. You have to have financial management, and you have to have a business plan. You have to have hours that you are your ideal trade times, and then not trading when it's like choppy. And those are great references that you have found. So it shows that you're like looking for the right stuff and finding better mentors, maybe.
Yeah, no, it did. It really helped. One of the things that I'd recommend to anybody, Linda has got on her website, she's got a two-part webinar, and it's called Accelerating Your Evolution as a Trader. And basically, it was from 2019, so it's not that far ago. And the idea was, she was sort of saying, it was in December, you're going into the new year, and she was sort of saying, well, if I was starting again, this is exactly what I would do. And that was like really pivotal. That was a really cool thing. So that's something that's worth watching for anybody that is out there and a bit stuck, because that was the real turning point for me. And then from there, I was able to build ever so slightly, just take all the lessons that I sort of had done the wrong way, and then sort of reverse engineer it and say, okay, well, 5 minutes is too fast for me. What else can I do? This is, gold always goes up, and I'm a short trader. Okay, what else can I do? All those little lessons, like in hindsight, were little gold nuggets, but at the time they were just like little 1,000 paper cuts.
Yeah, I've been there. Thank you for that reference. Actually, I want to watch those. So we'll find those and I'll link them in the show notes.
It's not easy, but they're really good.
Yeah. I mean, often the best content actually requires you to watch it even more than once, because I found, like, even books that we've mentioned in here, pretty much every book we've mentioned in here and other ones, I listened to twice through, because if you're distracted, you're thinking about something else. Like, there's so many gems in a really good piece of content that studying actually matters.
And that's the hardest thing. Like, intentional focus is really hard. And of course, the way the world is set up right now, like, it's impossible for you to, like, if you can concentrate for more than 10 minutes, you're a gold medalist these days.
Yeah, that's what that book, Deep Work by Cal Newport. I did an episode on them, because it is so true. There's so many distractions, and then just we are conditioned to have flashy things pop up all the time and pull our attention. And so we're even more distracted than humans have ever been in the history of humans. But if you really want to, like, next level of process, you have to be able to tune out the noise and really focus on it. But it is not natural. And especially for most of us coming into trading, that's something that has been lost in our world. And so it helps a lot coming into this. And I always equivalate the period of when you're becoming a successful trader. For me, it is similar to getting a degree for some other field of study, such as a doctor. And so that takes 4 years to even get into med school, and then another 6 to 10, depending on your specialty, to really get excellent at something that is a big deal. And so for trading, I mean, it's the same. You have to put in your work and get experience and learn from it. And sometimes you have to take many, many lessons on the same subject to really get to be a superior level with it. So it's putting in our time.
Yeah, it's one of those things you just don't get the first time. Like, and then you'll get a clonk on the head from life, and it'll turn you around and say, okay, well, how about from this angle? Nope, still didn't get it. Okay, how about from this angle? Nope, still didn't get it. So sometimes I can be a very stubborn learner, but yeah, but that's good.
Okay, so I think we are so blessed to live in a world where we do have prop firms, because you can just buy a $49 account and that can give you a couple weeks worth of practices. And like you said, you're not risking the money that you need for your mortgage or your rent. You are just, it's a time setback when you have to reset, but you can very much budget that in while you're learning, but have real skin in the game, because they can advance to the PA accounts once you achieve those trades. And so that is a definite blessing in this game now.
Yeah, and it's sort of, I guess, in the years gone by when you were trading in the stock market or anything like that, you'd sort of have to be very mindful about how much money you were putting in. And if you went on tilt with your own money, like, oh, I just hate to think how bad it could get.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. When I started trading in 2021, prop firms were not as widely understood, and the company that I started with did not advertise or recommend them at all. And so I funded my own account with money that my husband and I just had and savings. My first hard trading day where I lost more than $1,000, I cried for days and days and days, because that is a lot of money, like it really mattered. And I was like, holy shit, like, why did I move my stop loss in that instance? And that was my very first time doing it and risking more than I should. And then it started to run away without me. And it was a horrible day. And so there are really hard lessons, and it's nice now to know that you can manage it differently while you're still learning. And then the goal still can be, like, for me to trade my own money without so much rules and oversight eventually. But I even now have found consistency and got some pretty decent payouts last year. But I still, even having had that consistency, I still know that I want to be even better with my risk management before I put fully my own money on the back of it. So that's nice that we have that safer space.
Yeah, and that just comes down to the miles earned on the road. You just got to, like as Lance would say, you just got to get your reps in. You just got to keep at it day and day and day and day, and eventually you just inchworm that little further over and over until eventually you look back and think, man, I've come a long way. Still got a long way to go, but
I
I've
love
moved the
the
needle.
inchworm concept. It's
Yeah,
so
it's good.
good. I was talking with my good friend Peter. Peter, we all know, he's finally came on Market Mamas just the other day. He's a great episode if you haven't watched it. Yeah. Well, he and I were just talking the other day, because I actually had a really hard trading day. It was a bullish day, and I tried to catch the top, and I took a hard loss in all of my accounts. And he called me, and I was like really just frustrated with myself, because I do feel like I should know better. This spring it will be 4 years since I started trying to trade. And he made a comment. He said, there was a time where you really wanted to be here, like in this place where you could have a really hard day and your account survived. You didn't go on full tilt. You know what you did wrong. You understand the lessons, and you have had some payouts in recent months that have mattered for your family. And so I know this day sucks and I love you, and have a drink of wine or whatever, but like, he reminded me that there was a period in my trading journey where this was the goal, this spot. And now I want more, but I am and still improving on my shortcomings now. And it was like, that was a really good kind of reminder that stuck with me. Literally, thank you, Peter, every day since that phone call a few days ago. Because he's absolutely right. We get better and we start seeing better outcomes, and then we want more, and our back end starts to get a little less ugly. And it's a nice progression, but it definitely requires time, in my experience.
Yeah. And it's funny how the brain does a wee number on you, and it forgets all those little missteps along the way, and all of a sudden, when you get to that one at the end, you beat yourself up, which is. But yeah, I had a bad day on Friday as well, so I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, it's good in those moments to like be able to like ground yourself and have people that you can say that it went poorly with, and they can give you a little bit of love and help kind of remind you that you're still a good person, a good trader, on the right track, and just having a day, because it happens to everyone.
Yeah. Just bring you back off the ledge.
Right. It's a real thing to like, the ups and downs and the emotions, like the better we can get at dialing them down, like having a good outcome too. We want to be able to celebrate the victories and be proud of what we did that day, but then not get a big head or whatever, or overconfident, because, I've definitely had my issues with overconfidence too, of when I'm on a winning streak it's almost like I start to wonder when it's going to go south, and then I have my first loss. There's a moment where you're like, no, I'm on a winning streak. I'm not going to lose. And so then there's the opportunity there for over leveraging, overreaction, revenge trading, making a small loss something else that it doesn't need to be, because you still, even as a successful trader, need to be able to take the little hits and not let that impact you psychologically, emotionally, or, cause a big dip in your equity curve.
Merritt Black from S&B Capital, he makes a big deal about that, and he said, like, when you're on a winning streak, that's when you are at your most vulnerable. And he's got a wee saying, which I put on my computer. It's so good. He says, my process is a better trader than I am. And so the idea behind that is you basically got to follow your process, and when those emotions start sparking up, you've just got to get your laminated playbook out and just follow the steps, because when you're on a 3-day, 4-day, 5-day heater, you're thinking, here we go, I'll double up here, this looks good, that turned there last week, and it's just a rolling stone down the hill from there.
I love that. My process is a better trader than
Better
I am.
trader, yeah.
I'm literally going to post that in my office today. So thank you for that, and Merritt. I hadn't heard it written that way, but process is so powerful in trading, because once the candles start printing, you get heightened emotions, you get in a trade. It's so easy to slip away from what you intentionally planned in general in your process, but even like that morning in your specific trade plan, it's so easy to be like, oh God, but now I think or feel whatever, and start monkeying around with it. And you get into trouble so easily.
And all your rationale just goes straight out the window.
Yeah, like the adrenaline and the attention to wanting, you start thinking about the money, you look at the P&L bouncing. It's tricky. What's your favorite part of trading?
Probably the learning part. Like, it's taught me a lot about myself, which has been really, I'm grateful for. But it's exposed a lot about myself as well, which I sort of, you conveniently sort of push that to the side in most parts of life. So it's quite a full length mirror, trading.
You think it's making you a better human? Better.
Yeah, no, I think so. More intentional, certainly more focused, which has been really good, and I can carry that over to a lot of things. Where a lot of times I'll be trying to, do something, watch something, listen to something, simultaneously, which we all know is impossible, for men anyway.
Yeah, I think so too. For me, I definitely feel that way. Like it's made me calmer and more patient and appreciate what I have and what's in front of me more. I've upped my gratitude. I
Yeah,
think
no,
more to
gratitude's
like
everything.
survive it. Like gratitude helps me survive the hard days, I feel like. I mean, it's nice to have all the time, but on the hard days it really grounds me in like all these other parts of my life are good and I am good and I'm safe. And so even if my charting is ugly for a day, my outcome, like you breathe and recognize there's still plenty of great things, and then center yourself to like just go back to your process.
Exactly. And it's quite ironic. At the end of the day, we've chosen to do this. So sometimes we have to just give ourselves an uppercut and say, look, you wanted to do this. There's no one forcing you to put your hand on the mouse.
Yes. Sometimes my husband, he's like, what the hell happened? Like we were normal, like he's an engineer and I'm a nurse. Like we, live in suburbia. Like now what you doing, babe? Like day trading and podcasting. I'm like, I don't even know. It's just snowballing. Like I'm just figuring out that there's like cool stuff, and you actually really can like choose to go out of what was normal or understood by general society and figure out these things that are kind of wild, but like real people are doing them with real success. And so there is an opportunity to all the young traders out there who might watch this. There is an opportunity to really do this damn thing. And there's nothing that actually says that you can't. Like we can if you just like put in the time and the reps and you find good people to learn from. And if you realize someone is leading you down a path that doesn't feel right or look right, you pivot until you find really something good and strong and powerful, and then you lean in and you work your ass off. And I feel like that's what's gotten me so far to a place where I'm really quite pleased with my progress and know that I'm on the right track to way more levels beyond that. But it's been hard work.
Yeah. And that's just probably the single most important thing, but also the hardest is like when you realize you're sort of being led down the wrong way, to cut those people off quickly. And it's so hard because, most people want to see the best in people. We really do. But sometimes, when those little spidey senses go off on the back of your neck, you just got to lean into that and just say, look, this is just, for this situation, you're just not the right person. And that's hard.
Hard to
But
know
like you're
because you
saying,
can
like,
second
there's
guess it.
exactly. And then that's like every lesson of trading that I've been through in the 2 years so far, it's always been like I'll look at the chart and I'll get a read and it'll go exactly to what I'm thinking. But I never back myself for the play. Like I'll get halfway through and it'll pull back and then I'll be like, oh no, I'll bail. This is not looking right. But then you go and check the charts an hour later and then you're like, oh, if only. So knowing those things is quite good. But yeah, the biggest thing is just trusting yourself, and that's so hard. But like what you're saying about the being normal, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, and it's a really fine thing. But like I experienced in this day and age, through no fault of your own, you can get the rug pulled, and then if you're not working on something else or you haven't got anything else you can pivot straight to, like it's really difficult. I mean, over here, I don't know how you guys are going, but the cost of living and everything like that is just becoming bananas. And so, if your company just goes belly up just because nothing you did, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we are very similar in the US. Inflation is wild and cost of living is very heavy.
I think it's worldwide.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, and the pandemic changed everything. And then we just have hit another bracket in this world that is just more challenging, and businesses can't always afford to pay more, and then you don't always know what their situation is fully authentically, and you could get screwed and then need to have something. So that is one thing that I absolutely love about day trading, is that you can make it your own and you can dig in as deep as you want, and there is unlimited potential with it, which is kind of incredible. And there's not a lot of things in this world that have that.
No, you just can't force it. It's not on your agenda, it's on the market's agenda.
Yeah. And I think that there's no substitute for experience, which is what has really made a difference. Like you said, you're in a trade and it goes up and it starts coming back against you, and you second guess and you can cut it short and make, $50, whereas it could have been a $400 trade. Well, I think that the thing that counters that eventually is the experience. And then you do that, 50 times. And then you're like, well, shit, that's just the pullback, and give it a few more minutes, let these candles close. And if it can bounce there, then you're good. But it's so hard when you've only seen it 4 times and you second guess the heck out of it. And so just in that situation, time is what it takes to really feel more confident in your setup and what it might look like, and knowing in your mind before it prints that it could do this and then do this and then eventually hit your farther targets. And so that experience would force you to lean into your patience and breathe and take a short, quick walk while you're trying to hold a trade that is still showing you that it is holding. But that it absolutely, in my experience, I have gotten way better at those situations, just because I'll be like, I have seen this day before, and let me give it a few more minutes and trust the potential, how it could go. And it's getting more consistent that way.